Good morning, Lafayette. Man, what a cold morning it is out there. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Lafayette, your go-to local podcast, broadcasting from the heart of Tippecanoe County, home to the vibrant Purdue University campus and our Boilermaker spirit, of course. I'm your host, Brian Burton, a meteorologist by trade and a pastor at heart, here to bring you the latest on what's happening in our community, across the nation, and around the world. As we kick off this January 19th, it is, wow, 2026. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, folks. That means schools are out, the banks are closed, looks like the post office is out. A little bit of everybody is closed this morning, and probably everybody's sleeping in because it is definitely cold outside right now. It does look like we're going to see temperatures pretty chilly, and there are some advisories out already this morning. So it does look like it's going to be one of those colds. I notice you've probably seen information over the weekend says, oh, it's going to be 20 below and all this other stuff. And look out for that kind of weather. Well, it is definitely going to be cold later in the week, this week, after the couple of very cold days here again early in the week. And we're going to dive right into the weather forecast right off the top, because I know that's something you like to get into. And of course, that's kind of my mainstay is weather and seeing what's going on that front. So let's go to the full screen here real quick. We'll start checking out information. We'll start seeing where we are at. It is currently 4 degrees outside on a partly sunny Monday morning, and that makes my heart warm because I think I told you 3 to 5. So that's pretty good for temperature this morning. 4 degrees. It's going to be a mixture of some clouds and sun, but mostly sunny skies. You'll probably see more sun than clouds today. It won't make it feel any warmer, though. You got a wind out there right now sustained at 19 miles an hour, probably gusting to 25 or 30 at times during the day today, which means your wind chill right now is anywhere from minus 15 to say minus 30, depending on where you're at, how strong those gusts are, and that kind of information. Once you start to pan it out, let's go for minus 20 to minus 25 pretty consistently everywhere for everybody. We do have that advisory. Let me click on this one real quick here to let you know what the advisory says. Obviously says very cold wind chills as low as 14 below. The cold wind chills as low as 15 below zero could result in hypothermia if precautions are not taken. Very cold temperatures can lead to hypothermia with prolonged exposure. Use caution while traveling outside. Wear appropriate clothing, a hat and gloves. Keep pets indoors as much as possible, and make frequent checks on older family. That would be me, friends, and neighbors. Ensure portable heaters are used correctly, and do not use generators or grills inside. That comes from the National Weather Service. Now, when I take a look at some of the information here, you can see it's all over the state of Indiana, Illinois, pretty much everybody in the cold right now, and looking to be in the cold all the way through tomorrow morning at this point. And a lot of that has to do not necessarily with the cold itself. The temperature, 4 degrees isn't terrible. It's cold, don't get me wrong. But when you tack on that wind at 15 miles an hour, you're going to be seeing a strong, gusty, cold wind chill out there, no matter where you are. So bundle up when you head out this morning if you are going anywhere. Visibilities are good. Everything's looking good on that front. We don't have any major systems moving in. We just have the cold today lingering through tomorrow, then a little warm up midweek, and then starting to get colder by the end of the week again as we get a reinforcing shot of some of the cold as we get farther and farther into the week. What I do notice, though, like on my satellite pictures currently, is that you can kind of see the big pocket of cold air here. Lafayette, I'm going to put the cursor right where Lafayette is. You can see this is the infrared shot from overnight pretty much through this morning. It's quiet down to our south, not much for cloud cover, not much for cloud cover over us. You can see a few streaks of some thicker clouds coming through, but generally speaking, most of us are seeing sunshine. Some higher clouds back off towards the west and southwest of us, and then nothing over Minnesota, back into Wisconsin, northern Illinois, back down to us. And you notice the rotation again coming out of the northwest, out of the cold, where the cold is, rotating around a low pressure system off to our north, which has spun little bands of these clouds through off and on over the weekend. And we took one Friday night, Saturday night and Sunday night. So the timing was during the evening and at night when most of the very light snowfall fell. During the day, we saw a few flurries off and on here or there, but most of us didn't get much for accumulations at all. Maybe half an inch for most people to dusting is about what most of us saw. Let's zoom. So that's the kind of the big picture. You can see the low up to the north, spinning more systems around. I see more cloud cover a little bit later, possibly for tonight coming in. We'll keep an eye on that. This won't do much to us other than maybe some wispy clouds we'll see coming from that. And this, while again, it looks like it could be clouds, it's actually just the cold temperatures being shown up on the ground. So your temperatures back here are below zero. Back in Minnesota, Wisconsin, you're seeing a lot of the cold there. Then you're seeing some of the cloud cover up closer. So let's zoom in a little bit here. And then you can kind of see the streaks of lower clouds that pop up, but a lot of the cold temperature is showing. And notice it's already kind of just pushed up into our area. And you can see how it once the sun gets on it, it'll decrease this. You notice already in Illinois, you're backing off. These warmer temperature right there is backing off towards the north and where it will be. So the sun won't have a huge effect on everything today. It's not going to warm us up. We're going to be lucky to get back to 10 for our high temperature today. So call it 9 or 10 somewhere there. I think the model here, and when you look at the data here, says 9 degrees. So let's be optimistic and go for 10 for our high temperature today. But the flow around the lake, when we go back out, you can see lots of lake effect snows falling in western Michigan of the lower peninsula, or the lower Michigan, excuse me. So from like Kalamazoo all the way to the north, that's all. So now the flow there, you can kind of see the flow coming across the lake. And then anywhere within 10 to 20 miles of the lake is getting some pretty heavy snowfall. So I don't think any of us are up there, but we may have some truckers out and about that might be in that local area, and they may run into a little bit of that. Let's get into the models. I'm going to go right straight to the HER, which is the local, which is what you're going to be seeing on that. And let's see here. Is this the second time I've done this? I thought I did it. There we go. Now, I've just talked through 10 minutes, showing you satellite pictures, showing you things, and then I didn't realize that we weren't on. I got to get me a screen up here that shows what's on and what's not. There we go. I'm going to move my phone over here. Maybe that'll help me out a little bit. All right. Always going to be some hiccups, folks, when you're doing this all by yourself and you're just having some fun with this. All right. There we go. All right. Back to it. Look, real quick. There it is. 4 degrees. I'm going to hit the highlights real quick here that I just talked about. Hopefully you hung with me. This is the advisory that's out for the cold temperatures. It's across the entire state. There's a new update right here. Very cold wind chills, 15 below zero could result in hypothermia. Precautions are not taken. I kind of went through that real quickly there, but let's go back up here. It says 4 degrees Fahrenheit feels like minus 29. I'm not sure about the minus 29, but it depends on wind speeds. I would call it definitely minus 15 to minus 20 right now for sure on your wind chills. I got to find me a wind chill chart. That's what I need to find. Let's find a wind chill chart real quick. I'm trying to do them from my memory, and doesn't always work that way, does it? All right, we'll just do one of the old school wind chill charts right here. Understanding wind chill. All right. Okay, so it shows wind speeds in kilometers here. Let's see if we can find one I can read a little easier. Here we go. Wind speed in miles per hour, right? So we know we're up near 20, and our temperature is like 5 right now, right? So there you go. It's about a 20-degree difference. It's around minus 15, but with gusts, you may see stuff as low as minus 30 potentially today. With your gusts, say, up near 30, there you go, minus 20 to minus 22. You notice once you get so far out, it just doesn't affect as much. The wind doesn't, because you're initially just taking that heat away from your body is what you're doing. So there's the wind chill chart today on that, and what it will look like. I'll leave that in there so I can go back to it. Let's see if we can get back to a better picture. There we go. And so that's what the advisory is for right now, out and about locally. You'll be able to see that. Then I showed you the satellite picture. Let's go back to this. All right. Sorry about this, folks. Let's see here. So Lafayette right here And in Lafayette, you can see kind of the rotation and the wind flow of a low pressure system up over the northern portions of, well, we'll call it southern Canada, but it's north of Lake Michigan up there. And it's been spinning these little troughs around it over the weekend. We saw snowfall a little bit Friday night, a little bit Saturday night, a little bit Sunday night. That was just the timing, how it came through, and a few flurries. No real big, snowfall at all, with your amounts probably a half an inch or less for just about everybody. A lot of us just got a dusting. It did create some havoc on the roads, though, because as soon as I got on the roads, it froze in spots. I could tell when I was driving around, especially on Saturday and Sunday, that there were some icy spots. So be cautious on the roads, despite the fact that not a lot of snow has fallen. And it's cold out there. If you get yourself in an accident, you're going to be stuck in the cold, and we don't want that to happen either. So here's Lafayette, Lake Michigan. A lot of snowfall coming off to the back side of the lake into lower Michigan. Back off to our northwest, this looks like a whole bunch of cloud cover if you look at this enhanced view of this infrared. But in reality, it's just these little dark streaks here that are clouds. This is just really, really cold air off towards our west and northwest. And then we have some high clouds out to our west. Don't look like much of an effect with them today, maybe just seeing some beautiful skies with it more than anything else. Let's zoom in a little bit and we can kind of see around it. You see the darker streaks right there? Those darker streaks are exactly what I'm talking about for cloud cover. That's your clouds. The lighter colors, and remember, guys, I'm colorblind, but I can see this really well. I don't know if this is blue or purple. It's hard to tell. But the lighter color is not clouds. It's just cold temperatures. Just cold temperatures is what you're seeing on there. So, and then you see the clouds coming off the lake, a little bit of the high stuff coming in just to our southwest. Lafayette is right about here on the chart. So it does look like it's going to be a cold, chilly weather coming in, so to speak. And off to our northwest is where that cold weather likes to come from this time of the year. Obviously coming out of Canada and then diving down across Minnesota, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Iowa, and swinging into Indiana a lot of times. Here's what we do see, though, on the charts. Now let's go back out to the charts, see if I can find these bad boys. I'm going to go to the HER. I've got the bigger picture out here just to give you an idea of what we're talking about at first. So here we are. We're at like 4 degrees. It's at 9 o'clock in the morning. You see the big pocket of cold up here to the northwest. Lafayette is right about there. It just so happens they put a number 4 on it for us to let us know what the temperature is for Lafayette. But look at this pocket of minuses back up here to the north. Now, again, normal. This is normal winter, right? Up here to the north, cold. We don't always get that cold pushed down to us all the time in the winter, but we do frequently see it, probably 3 to 4 times a year at least. There, every winter we get something down near zero. 0 to 10, maybe below 0 at times. We've already had one stint back in December, and here's our second stint now, with a third looking like it's on the horizon later this week. So cold temperatures, at least in the forecast for now, and a big pocket off towards our northwest. Also, here they put the isobars on here, and you can see high pressure basically over northern Nebraska. Well, where's that pull, right? Remember, the pull around a high pressure system and the flow around a high pressure system is clockwise. And you see all these isobars right here really close to each other, right? And then you get over here by the high and they're farther apart. See this couple 100 miles or 100 miles or so. And then here they're like 50 miles. Well, that means stronger winds in that local area there. And then here's the low pressure system off to the northeast of us, northeast, call it southern Canada, maybe Lake Huron, northern Lake Michigan. And that's what's spinning around that. The gradient between the low pressure system and the high pressure system guides our winds and our temperatures. So if we've got this big, strong, gusty wind coming down out of the north and northwest, what's it going to do with these temperatures here? It's going to pull them towards us, right? It's going to move the temperatures around the surface of the earth just like that. And we will be able to pull the cold air down from the north over the next, today and through tomorrow morning. It looks like, at least cold temperature wise. When we move farther forward, we go out, we look at this. I see a 9 on there. Oh, there's a 10 about this evening, maybe an 11. There you go. So we're barely going to scratch back to about 10 or 11. And then tomorrow morning, there we are back down around 4 or 5 degrees. And the question is the flow here now becomes a little more westerly, right, instead of northwesterly, which will allow for this. The temperatures over here are warmer than they are up here, right? So tomorrow morning, we still get cold, but we didn't pull a full load of that real cold stuff down to us. So it's going to be chilly again tomorrow morning, showing 5. So I will go 3 to 5 again tomorrow morning, especially if the cloud cover stays out and for us for our low temperatures tomorrow. Pretty easy. It's even popped a 4 there again if you watch it overnight. It actually starts to warm up later in the period. Oh, there we go. There's some cold. I knew it was just didn't seem like it was right, did it? So while we don't get the -5 and -10s down here tomorrow, we do get close to 0. There we go. That will be 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, 0 to 1 in Lafayette. I like that number better. So there we go. That plus 3 to 5 was throwing my mind off where I was actually thinking and what we were all thinking, right? So, but the wind isn't as bad, you notice tomorrow, but it's a few degrees colder. So we're still going to have wind chills around -10 to -20 probably tomorrow morning, despite the fact there'll be a little bit less wind. Also, you start to see some shifting of the directions. Remember, I said out of the west overnight, which will keep us from getting too cold. And then, well, how much do we warm up tomorrow? It's not a ton, but man, we're at least into the low 20s. That's about 10 degrees below the average for this time of the year. I think we're somewhere in the low 30s for our average low, and we are generally pretty close to where our bottoming out is. We bottom out in the end of January for the lowest temperatures of the year on average. And tomorrow, we're not even going to get near that average, which is the lower 30s. So shows 22 tomorrow. All dependent on cloud cover. Maybe we get some sunshine in here with that system, but we have an advancing low pressure system coming in. Our flow starts to shift around from the south right here, right? And then we watch as the temperatures kind of stay there, but they get a little bit changed. And then here comes this low, comes zipping across, quick little clipper system, right? Warms us up right in front of it, just enough to get into the 30s on Tuesday, into Wednesday. This would be Wednesday now. And then bam, it brings in a quick shot of cold right behind it again. Right. So that's your cold temperatures. Now let's go back and look at the precipitation real quick and see how much is actually in this system. So here we are here, nothing, right? Everything coming off the back of the lake right now for today, tomorrow, still looking good as we move into Tuesday. There it is. The high is now shifting down here, right? And we're getting a flow more westerly to west-northwest, not pulling as much cold air, but still cold day tomorrow morning. And then, bam, here comes that quick clipper system. And right now, it shows most of the precipitation north of us and just dragging. And if you've noticed in the last week or so, every time it shows something dragging along here and it doesn't show much for precipitation for us, we get some flurries out of it, right? Flurries. And then maybe it'll adjust tomorrow so that maybe Wednesday morning we'll keep an eye to see if something comes out of this system as it comes through. And then let's also look at the wind speeds, wind gusts with the system. Look how strong the winds are. Now we go back to today, and it's showing upper 30s for 28 for 29 knots. There you go. And that would be around 35 miles an hour for your gusts. These are your gusts. And they die down today as it goes on. So the most gustiness is this morning. And then overnight, they're not too bad, but you're still talking 15, 10. There you are in the morning tomorrow around 10 with a temperature of 0 gives you a wind chill of right around 10 below. So 10 to 15 tomorrow morning, cold morning again tomorrow morning, but not as windy, which will be nicer. And then there's that pocket of gusty winds coming in overnight Wednesday night, right in front of that clipper that's going to come diving down across Lake Michigan. And it brings us some winds, and then temperatures, remember on the backside started to crash out. On that front, and we take a look at that, and you can start to see the 0s and 5s back there Wednesday morning. This will slowly change. We'll go out of the northwest again, and we will start to see more of that. Let's go to the NAM Nest, which is 6 hourly. It's not updated quite yet, and it goes out a little farther on Wednesday, shows us not too bad. You know, the high temperature on Wednesday may actually come midnight? There you go, 32, 33, real early in the morning to in the afternoon, maybe 33 degrees. So that's about normal for this time of the year, pretty close to normal. And then we go out a little farther on the NAM, and it shows, let's see, here comes another quick clipper, quick clipper system to come down Thursday to reinforce another shot of cold air, and it opens us straight up to northwesterly winds pretty close there for later on Friday into Saturday. So a big high down to the south starting to build in. These little clipper systems continue to move across to our north, and they bring us little to nothing for precipitation, but they do bring in and reinforce the cold later in the week. Let's see what we've got here for precipitation type. So let's go back. This is the North American model. I think it's going out to about Thursday. Boom, boom, boom. Nothing, nothing, nothing. There's a high to our south. Here we are tomorrow. We continue on. Here comes the Clipper system. It's got it pretty close to the same. You notice it does drag a little bit of moisture in with it, where the other one did not. It kept it a little farther to the north for Wednesday morning. And to see, there you go. So there's a shot of maybe some light snow on Wednesday. That's why I was concerned about the other one didn't show anything. This one shows at least some snow near us on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, not much for accumulations because it moves through so quickly. By noon to the afternoon, it's cleared out and the snow is gone. And then there's another quick little Clipper system bust by Thursday night into Friday morning. And the big high is still right down here. Throughout this entire thing, the high is in this general area south of us or west of us after one Clipper system after another, right? So here's the high. It's slowly shifting off towards the east and allows a Clipper system to zip through. And then there's another high right on its tail with another Clipper system right here. So we're going to see this continued flow. What's that going to do? It's just going to continue to reinforce cold in here slowly but surely over the week as we go on. And temperature wise, it's going to keep us colder. Now let's go out a little farther. Let's go with the GFS. And the GFS starts, there you go. You see the high back out over Missouri. Now this is Thursday. And it, boom, it reinforces. Look at this. Now this high is farther to the northwest of us, right? Up over South Dakota, North Dakota. And look at the flow straight down the lake, straight out of the north. And all of these wind barbs are really tight Thursday night into Friday. So winds, right? Strong gusty winds. Plus, it's pulling cold air across the lake. What about some lake effect snow potential? We'll have to keep an eye on that. More flurries or light snow for us this far away from the lake. But there on Friday, it gets real windy there Thursday night into Friday. Then the high kind of cuts across. Usually, we're kind of, here's the main big high again. By Monday, this would be Sunday evening. It's right over the top of us, allowing for cold air to be in here. Another Clipper system comes through. And then just look at the pattern. I'm going out now Wednesday next week. Here's another high. Not a lot of precipitation anywhere. There's a pretty good system late next week. Considering it's coming out of the north, it's not too bad out of the northwest. And then we continue on, and it's a lot of the same, which is colder temperatures, probably below normal, high pressure. The flow is coming out of the northwest, which will keep us that way. Let's take a look at those temperatures real quick. We'll go back to the surface chart temperatures. And here we are Thursday. Remember, we were talking about Thursday. So Wednesday, we're going to be up near 30, 32, 33, right? And then Thursday, we get that the flow starts to change again. And look at the cold air dive in. Look at how quickly that happens Friday morning. All of a sudden, it's 0 over in Rantoul, Champaign area, -8 up in Chicago on Friday morning. And then, bam, -2 in Lafayette Friday morning, it looks like. So cold. Let's go back to it. There it is, -2. Remember I said the winds are now coming directly out of the north to northwest. You got this big pocket of cold air that's been reinforced. So it's cold now. It gets a little bit of a warm up to midweek, and then bam, it gets reinforced with some more cold weather and cold temperatures. And then that gets filtered down towards us as the week goes on. So Friday, cold again, but -2 to -4, it looks like, with a high temperature of maybe 2 on Friday. You're going to be cold Friday. Wind chills will be very cold too. The high kind of crosses us Saturday, right? And you notice it's not as bad on Saturdays it seems like it's going to be. So there's Friday, boom, -2. And then Saturday, still cold because it's starting already cold. And then overnight, Saturday, it just kind of lingers around 0, basically, mainly because we're starting to get the high coming over us, a little less wind, a little less influence. We may pull some clouds straight off the lake. Highs on Sunday are only about 10 to 12. Look at that, 10 to 12 on the morning, and then maybe 15 in the afternoon, 17. Then we start to get some warmth on Monday, push it back in. Warmth, back to normal, 32 on the high on Monday. Another quick shot of cold And then Wednesday next week, you see that the pocket of cold up to our northwest is not as bad. That's good news. That's good news for next week. But then it starts to get reinforced itself later in the week by Friday. Here we are pushing it out. Here comes that next little system. Does it reinforce? It sure tries to, at least next Saturday into Sunday. And then it just kind of keeps the back to near normal temperatures by that time frame. Even some warmth coming up. Look at that. 50s, 60s, 70s down to our southwest by the end of next week into pushing into February. But cold here for this week, it looks like on our front. So not as cold as people were worried about over the weekend, right? I don't know how many forecasts I saw on different people. -10, -20. Now, we always have to look at something for a while. This is still even the cold later in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday here is going to be some kind of modification a little bit, right? It'll be either a little colder or a little warmer as we get closer, depending on how systems move and the models update. But like for today and tomorrow, it's going to be, when we go back to we're going to be real accurate as to where things are. Let me go back to the temperature and say, like, so here we are now. We know we're at 4, right? Let's go back here. And we've got wind chills somewhere around -15 to -25 because it's so cold out there. And we know we're only going to get to 10 or 12, but we know we can confidently think that this is going to be fairly close over the next 24 to 48 hours. Once you get past that 48-hour mark, you're going to start losing your confidence of what you're going to see. So, what will happen at the end of the week? It does look like it's going to get cold. Will it get to -5 or -10, say Friday morning or Saturday morning? We'll keep an eye on that. But -20s, that kind of stuff, the scare tactics I saw from a few people, uh, let's put that aside for now and see what happens by the end of the week. I don't like to rush out there and say that. Let's just say it's going to get colder at the end of the week. All right. So there we are for the next couple of days on that front. Let's look at the temperatures around the state right now. Here's Lafayette. All right. It's currently 5 degrees officially at the airport. Let's see if this is updated any. All right. Surface maps, raw. Remember, I'm going to the College of DuPage for this, is where I go to my information because I like the colors. They stand out for me. And then I want to see, here we go, decode the entire state. Go to Lafayette, 4 degrees. Dew point's -6, just a few clouds out there. Winds are at 17 knots right now, so that puts you somewhere around 20 to 22, maybe gust to 30 at times, and that's why your wind chills are so bad this morning. If you're heading out just to the store, something somewhere, you're going to see somebody, see how they're doing on MLK Day, make sure you bundle up, make sure you take care of them. If you're going out to check on somebody who's maybe elderly and needs a little help, or just anybody who needs some help, bundle up as you go out. Take care of yourself too. First, you have to be, you know how they say, put your oxygen mask on first, then put it on the person next to you. Same thing on the cold, right? Bundle up, make sure you're taken care of before you go out to help somebody else. That's what we like to say about that. Okay, around the state though, it's 1 up in Gary right now. 3 degrees. There you go. Rensselaer, 3 degrees. Valparaiso, 1 degree right now. So it is cold around the state. Yet you go all the way down south and you'll find 21 out down along the river, 22 in Evansville. So it's a little warmer down there. And you're finding anywhere up near the lake is getting blowing snow or some light snow, right? Remember, this time of the year, it's so cold. If some clouds come over, you can get some flurries out of it. So don't be surprised by that at all if you see a little bit of flurries out of some cloud cover. So if you get in one of those little streaks that we were looking at on the satellite shot, let's see if we can find it here. If you get under one of these little streaks, you might get some flurries out of it. Don't be surprised by that at all. But no real accumulations expected. Man, that's it. After a little hiccup there showing you the wrong charts, it looks like it's going to be a cold, chilly day outside today. And hopefully some of you can get in there. Chat me up. Tell me what you're doing. How cold is it at your house? We were at my house. It's 4 over at the runway, but at the airport, which is the official reading. But it's 3 at my house. So there you go. You're going to find a different spot. I live up in Battleground, up to the north of Lafayette right now. So some of you up near Rensselaer are seeing that 1-2 degrees up there. Maybe Brookston, Monticello probably seeing like 2 degrees right now, 3 degrees. So a bit chilly in those spots. For the rest of us, it's still, what a cold morning. All right. Hopefully you have been prepared. I want to see is all right. Kokomo's 5 right now. What's Grissom reporting right now? They are not reporting anything on here for some reason. No observation at Grissom. Hey guys, if you're watching me over at Grissom, I know some of you, no observation for some reason. Fort Wayne 7 right now. This is just some of the big cities I'm looking at. South Bend 7. What's Indianapolis reporting? They're reporting 10. You know about the heat island effect. Generally, bigger cities hold the warmth a little bit more. Even in the dead of cold of winter, they're usually a little warmer. Plus, they're farther south than us, right? Terre Haute's 10 degrees. And hence the reason you can be 2 degrees at my house and I can drive into town here in Lafayette and it'll be 4, right? It's not as dramatic as big cities like Indianapolis, but you can see that from time to time. So the urban heat island effect is what they like to call it. So, all right, let's pop back out. We covered a lot of weather on that front. We covered, and this was a big weekend with cold weather, lots of sports going on. For me, it was exciting. There is a big time ball game tonight. For those of you Hoosier fans that are out there, and a lot of my friends are Hoosier fans, they root for Purdue though too. So a lot of them do. They're just like me. They might be Hoosier fans, but if it's not Indiana playing, if it was Purdue, they'd be rooting for Purdue, and I'm rooting for Indiana because I am from the state of Indiana, and any team in Indiana is good for me unless they're playing Purdue, and then Purdue goes to the top, right? That's how it works. So hopefully you are ready for a ball game tonight for the national championship game. I do not know what time it is on. Let me see if I can find that for you guys real quick. So I was diving through, looking at all kinds of other stuff as I was doing this. All right. So when you go into ESPN, sometimes you find, where is everything? I got baseball stuff hooked up here too, because I was going to talk about baseball too. Because why? Because the Cubs have done some good stuff here in the last week or two, at least trying to shore up what they've been doing to make their team a bit better. There we go. Guys, what was I looking for? I'm looking for the NFL. I'm looking for a men's football. Where's it at? National championship, anything? It's got to be on here somewhere. Let's just go to the main page. Still showing football stuff from yesterday on the main page of ESPN. Here it is, 7:30 tonight. And, of course, it's on ESPN. Indiana, 15-0. Miami, 13-2. The number 10 team in the country, or they're the number 10 seed, gets all the way to the finals against the number 1 seed, Indiana. Man, there's all kinds of things going on here. It's stories on Miami, something about the Miami quarterback graduated 2 years ago. He's just been hanging out in town playing football. Must be nice, huh? But he had eligibility. That's how it works out. But that was some kind of big story for people. I don't know. Everybody's got to make something out of something. Let's hope it's a great game one way or the other. Comes down to the buzzer, and the Hoosiers are carrying the trophy out of there by the time it's done and over with, right? That's what we really want to see here from Indiana. I saw a map over the weekend, a meme. It was pretty funny. It said national championship favorites across the country, and it was all red with Indiana, and then it zoomed in on Purdue and Lafayette, and it said Miami. Yes, there are some fans here that are rooting for Miami that are Purdue fans, yes. But generally speaking, a lot of us are still rooting for Indiana to win the championship, especially after my Bears went down last night. I didn't get to watch any of the game. I just followed it on the computer, what the numbers were, but it sounds like it was an exciting game. Just didn't go the Bears' way. Late interception in overtime, and the Rams kicked a field goal to win it 20-17. So it did go to overtime. And with cardiac Bears were doing it again, and they almost pulled it off because they were down, getting closer to a field goal for themselves when the interception happened. And then I don't know how many plays, a few plays later, the Rams kicked a field goal from about 35, 40 yards out. Chip shot. I can even make one of those. Well, half the time, maybe. All right, 1 out of 10. Stop it. So the Bears, while they didn't win last night, man, what a season. They had a great season. They have nothing to be complain about. Got into the playoffs, won a game. Could have easily won that game last night. Great defense on both sides, it looked like, from both teams. And the Bears just turned it over too many times, 3 interceptions, and they went for it on 4th down a bunch of times and didn't get it, including like with 3 minutes left in the game, they went for it and they were down on like the 2. and they went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. And they were lucky to get the ball back and score a touchdown late on a great pass and catch from Williams to the tight end. I can't remember his name. Connect, and he connected with Connect, and they scored the touchdown to tie the ball game up at 17. So it was pretty cool. At least I did see some of the highlights. Maybe you did too when we went through some of that. So that was the big Bears playoff game against the Rams, and so now your tournament and your NFL is set up like this. Let's see if I can find you the playoff bracket here. So January 25th, both games are on January 25th. I'm going to assume that's Sunday. What's today? The 19th? Yeah, 25th. So the Broncos and Patriots are on at 3 p.m. They are the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the AFC. And in the NFC, the number 1 and number 5 seeds are the Seahawks and the Rams. They're at the Seahawks, and the other game is at the Broncos. That one is on at 6:30 on Fox. So the first game, CBS/Paramount Plus, which I think you can get if you have your Amazon Prime. I think Paramount Plus comes with that. So if you're wanting to do that, plus CBS WLFI here in town, right? Still CBS. So Broncos Patriots at 3 p.m. and Seahawks Rams at 6:30 p.m. Super Bowl February 8th. So a week and a half, 2 weeks later after that. We're still two and a half weeks from the ball game, almost 3 from the actual Super Bowl coming in. Go out and buy your TVs now. Get them cheap. And I know how you guys are. You'll take them back. That's kind of the going joke, isn't it? And we're going to take them back after that. So there we are on that front. It was a good year for my Bears, the Bears. I don't think we expected this year. We expected them to compete and be close, but maybe like a 7 seed, not to win the division. I think we were thinking next year is to win the division with a new coach, right? That kind of thing. So I remember, and I was telling people yesterday, the Cubs did the same thing. In 2016 or 2015, they got into the playoffs, and they weren't really expecting themselves to get into the playoffs till 2016 in the World Series in 2017. But instead, they got in a year early. So maybe the same thing for the Bears. Does that mean the Bears are in the Super Bowl next year and win the Super Bowl? It's hard to say, but excitement is around Chicago now with the Bears team. And because they're playing well, they're going to have some problems with that. Where's the stadium going to go? Is it going to be the Chicago, Indiana Bears or what? They'll still be called the Chicago Bears. They'll just be across in Gary if they go there. Or are they going to come up with the cash to go and stay in the state of Illinois, just out in the western suburbs somewhere? Each drive is going to be about the same either way. From what I understand, in Gary, you'll be able to take the train right to the spot. So, and it's only a 20-minute ride or so from downtown on the train. So not a bad deal there. For the Bears. Maybe they'll figure that out sometime in the next couple months over the summer and hammer it all out, and we'll see if they're going to have some new places to go and play at, right? So what else is going on? Well, the Cubs. I am not even getting into Purdue yet. That's going to be my last sports thing. I'm going to hit the Cubs real quick. What happened last week? Of course, the Cubs grabbed Bergman, right? Or Bregman, excuse me, on a 5-year deal, $175 million. I think he's going to play third base. We're hoping he's going to hit 30 to 35, 40 homers. He's going to hit a lot more than he did with the Red Sox because of the way the Red Sox stadium is set up. When I saw them overlay homers onto Wrigley Field, he would have hit like 20 more because of where he hits, which is left center to left. He was banging balls off the wall all the time because it seems like he has a lower trajectory. So, which would have went out at Wrigley. So there you go. Maybe he's going to hit 20 or so. And then they also picked, and that means Matty Shaw is going to be like the bench guy right now, barring them trading away somebody. And I don't think they're going to trade away their second baseman because everybody loves him too much, right? Nico is somebody that everybody wants. He's like a spark plug. I want that guy out there. Plus, he's a Gold Glover. Man, keep him out there. Shaw, be your utility guy. Let him get better and better. Maybe down the road, you're doing something with him. And then, of course, they also traded for starter Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins. It seems like we'll get Justin Steele back sometime, right, during the season. Now, whether that's midway through the season, he had the Tommy John surgery, and Tommy John surgeries usually take like 18 months. Seen guys rush back as quick as 12 months. But it seems like that, okay, let's call it 15 months. So he got it right at the beginning of last season. A lot of guys who get it at the beginning of the season are come back somewhere in the middle of the next season, it seems like. So we'll see what happens with Steele as he comes back. And he was one of your top of your lineup there, right? Top of your five guys that you're going to have that are coming out and starting every day. He was like one or two on the list, and then he got hurt immediately last season, and that kind of put a ding into their pitching staff, right? But they still were one of the best pitching staffs out there, considering. And they're considered, oh well, we can't trust these guys. We don't know. Well, they won a whole season. A lot of them pitching very well. Cade Horton was a standout. I'm surprised. Did he win the Rookie of the Year? I don't even know if they've mentioned it yet. Yeah, I think he didn't win it. He came in second, I think, to some guy who was hitting maybe. But he was definitely a standout. He looked really good, and Justin Steele fit him back in there. Cabrera, right? Don't forget you still got your guys that are pitching that pitched all season last year, and they'll be coming back too because they're not losing anybody off of the starting staff, right? So I'm excited. Hopefully, if you're a Cubs fan, you're excited too. And actually going to a Giants Cincinnati game early this season with a friend of ours. I've never been to the Cincinnati Park. That'll be kind of fun. We'll have to see that. I think it's April 15th or something like that. So I'm excited to go see that ball game too in a new place, right? Shota Imanaga, that was the name that was escaping me. Shota will be a part of the lineup. He'll be the pitching staff, right? Cabrera. Then you got Horton. Steele will be coming back, which will be nice if they can get him and he's anything near what he was. But you can't expect a ton from a guy coming back from Tommy John surgery, but sometimes they come back and they're just phenomenal compared to what it was 40 years ago when it was a death nail. You never played again kind of thing, right? So that was the bad thing about some of that. All right, so there you go. You got the Cubs. Now let's get into some of this kind of ideas of what happened to Purdue over the weekend. All right, football wise, let's hit some of the other stuff for Purdue first. First off, like the wrestling team lost a match. It was a close 2-point loss, and they're number 25 in the country. So that was a loss. The women got kind of really beat up over. So Purdue played Saturday at USC, and then Sunday the women played right there. And unfortunately, the women, they lost. Let me see here. It comes up. West Coast opener. They dropped it. What was the score? I thought I knew I saw it somewhere. There we go. First off, the first quarter, they got beat 21-11. So they were down 10 right away. And then they got beat 21-16 in the second quarter. So they were down another 5. So now you're down 15. And then in the third quarter, it was another slaughter, 24-15. And then in the fourth quarter, they made it, a little bit of a game. At least there it was 17-15 score. Ended up losing 83-57. Shot terrible, which is, you do that on the road. That's just the way things work out, right? Field goal percentage was 37%. 3-pointers were 37. That's not bad, 3-pointers. And the free throws weren't terrible. Rebounds, rebounds were pretty close. But there were 21 turnovers. Whoa, 21 turnovers. So now the ladies are 10-8. They're 2-5 in the Big Ten, and they're going to follow that up with a game Wednesday night at UCLA as the Purdue men play UCLA tomorrow night. So the ladies took one on the chin, so to speak, over the weekend. But the men, they were able to come through and win a ball game on Saturday at USC, although it was ugly at times. And here's how it ended up. I think hopefully I wrote most of these stats down on here somewhere. I didn't throw them away. I probably did throw them away. Can't find the stats. Okay, at one point, I believe it was 22-8. 22-8, and Purdue was down 22-8. So they're down 14 points, right? There was 9.5 minutes left in the first half, and Purdue's only scored 8 points. For the rest of the half, they went on a 30-10 run, and they took the lead 38-32, right? So that's what happened. There was the first 10 minutes were awful. They couldn't shoot. They couldn't get it in the bucket, right? This shot poorly. The second half, they were on fire. And then the second half of the ball game, so that was the first 10 minutes, the second 10 minutes. They won the second 10 minutes handily, 20 to 10 or 30 to 10, excuse me. So that was a 20-point swing from 14 down to 6 points up. That is crazy different change. And then the second half, it was 32-31 SoCal, but they kind of kept the lead, and most of the second half, it was either within a couple points one way or the other, and they came on strong at the end and ended up winning the ball game. And then I started thinking about it. Okay, so they were down 22-8. They ended up scoring 69 points. So that's they outscored 69. That's 61, and then 22 to 42. They actually outscored Southern California after the first 10 minutes, 61 to 42. Now that we would have took that. That just means there was 10 minutes of rough, things didn't go right. They were making shots. We weren't making shots. That's the kind of thing that was going on in that. But they won the game 69-64, and they're going to keep their fifth ranked. I think they're going to move up to fourth this week because two teams in front of them lost, including Iowa State, who lost twice. So the Iowa State should go back down behind Purdue at fifth, sixth, seventh, somewhere in there. Because they lost two games, it's probably going to be pretty dramatic for Iowa State. And that's Purdue's only losses against Iowa State. And they were undefeated and banking on that Purdue win to keep them up there at number 2, 3, right in that range. But they're going to fall back. So Purdue should move up to 4. Arizona probably stays at 1. This will all come out at about noon today, and we'll see the new rankings. But that's about where they'll be, probably number 4. Currently, though, they're still ranked number 5. They did improve to 17-1. And, of course, they're 7-0 in the Big Ten, along with Nebraska, who just keeps on winning and looks great. Nebraska's going to move up pretty big this week. I saw some people put them as number 2 in the country. Not yet. They're not proving it. Are they proving it? Yes, they are. Game after game after game, they're winning. But statistically, numbers-wise, they're still not quite as good as that top tier. So should they be moved? I think they were 10th last week. Should they be 7th, 8th, somewhere there, 6th? A strong possibility Nebraska moves up that far too. Could they push Nebraska in front of Purdue? Would that surprise anybody at all? Even though Purdue's been sitting there waiting and waiting in 5th place for how long, with teams in front of them starting to lose? So we'll see how that goes. But the Boilermakers 17-1 start matches their best 18-game start in Purdue history, which was they did that in 2022-23 season, the 87-88 season, and way back in the 31-32 season, almost 100 years ago. That's their best starts in history. So the win was Purdue's 9th in a row. So they won 8, lost the game against Iowa State pretty badly, and now they've won 9 in a row since then to go 17-1. And that also matches the longest win streak for the program since 22-23. Even with how good the teams were last year and the year before and the year, right? It's still been a few seasons since they won 9 in a row. So that just goes to show you how hard it is. The 23-24 team also won 9 games in a row. And the 22-23 season, they won 13 games in a row. I believe that was to start the season, wasn't it? Maybe it was close. They won their first 12 and then they won their first game of the Big Ten and then lost a game, I think. The 9-game winning streak is now tied for the 10th longest streak in the country at the moment. And Purdue's 7-0 Big Ten start is tied for the 6th most wins to start a conference season in school history. The 5-point win marked the first game of the season for Purdue that was decided by 2 or fewer possessions. Yeah, they've been pretty much, even though the games have been rough at times and they haven't looked as good as they should the last few games, luckily it's been against lesser competition. And this is where it always goes into the mindset. I think is where we start to have problems and we start to think about this stuff because you play to your competition sometimes. You notice how they come out against Alabama. They come out against Auburn. They come out against these teams and they play great, right? Because you're playing great teams. And then you come out against the lesser guys and you don't blow them away by 30. You do some of them, but you don't blow them all away by 30. You kind of play to your competition. This was a big thing I ran to when I was just playing, stuff in the Marine Corps. Nothing like college, right, which is much higher. But we ran into this kind of stuff where we would play to the other people, how good they were. If we came out against a good team, I can remember there was a season we went 20-2, and one of the losses was to a great team. But the second time we played them, we beat them to a great team, right? So, but we played right to them. With each game was a one-run game. It was exciting. It was right to their levels. And then the other game that we lost was to some other team, and we didn't play. We showed up, thought we had it already, and we lost the game. I'm not saying the guys are doing that, but they do let down a little bit when you think, well, we got this one kind of in the bag. We'll work it out somehow. And they do work it out. but they just don't play with the confidence all the time. When something goes wrong and you start to fall apart, and you go, "Why am I playing like this against these guys?" And you just don't play as well. In the last 3 or 4 games, because the competition hasn't been as top tier, these are still good teams. They're going to take you. They're going to go after you. Remember, they're all trying to beat you because you're in the top five. So we got to be ready for that kind of stuff. Every game should be, we got to blow them out. And I've always felt like Painter, first off, when he gets up by 20, he doesn't always try to, I think, embarrass other teams a lot of times. So the game will end up 14 or 15 a lot of times. How many times have we seen that? And he puts guys in, they get up by 30, right? Michigan earlier in the season was like, we're just going to stomp you. And then they've kind of had a lull too. Michigan has not been playing great as of late. They went from world beaters to, we're just one of the guys. Isn't this awesome? And they lost a game because of that, right? So in the last 2 games, Purdue has rallied from 9 points down with 14 minutes to play against Iowa, and from 14 points down in the first half, and 3 with 3 minutes to play. So they had gotten down by 3 again with 3 minutes to play in this ball game, as it was back and forth in the second half. But Purdue outscored USC 12-4 in the last 3 minutes, sparked by a Braden Smith steal and bucket, and then he got hammered, but they didn't call the foul. Then there was some argument about who called timeout, when, where, and what, but that was